Let's see. I'm fine. Got the NS leader. Go. New home. Yeah. Yeah, I know it's noisy. All temporary. You must be staying out here tonight. Staying inside. You want pee-pee? Where's Cage? Where's my Cage? Oh, there's Cage. You might recognize it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay, only temporary. I have to clean it outside. I have to clean it outside. Okay? Okay. Sorry. Look up. Look at that. Here she is. Hey there, baby. Okay. 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 Look around the floor and then parts of the relaxing. That's a Raven duck. Raven duck. There she is. It's okay. We're gonna fight through that. Those are incredible jaws. Jaws of life. Survival. There we go. Look at that. Relax. It's okay. It's totally fine. Relax. Licking the floor. Put on a leash. Now she's acting.
We have 15 years to China, who owns the government, and since the government owns half of the U.S. West, the Chinese will move into the west of the U.S. I've been testing out the urine therapy of the autistics. Autistics have a huge amount of the most powerful drug in the world, DMT and RP. I'm trying to put it into bread, cookie mix, cake mix. It still tastes like a bathroom. So the best thing I think you can do is find someone who is autistic. I'll have a link below, and I'll also post the 50-word question, reworded, because some of the words I believe are false words. Well, I know are false words, so. But in any case, find someone who qualifies for autistic, get their pee, preferably.
You know, in sex play called water sports or whatever, but we have, you know, there's only 1% of us, so, I mean, I could send it off in a cookie form or cake, but by the time it gets there, it might be moldy and all this stuff, and you gotta be careful with it. So, I'd rather, if I can, not if I can, if I wanted to, eventually I might, I'd be selling my pee, which is not illegal in Texas. If you want to purchase my urine, put like this video, or put a comment, or have you click like, because I don't know what you really want to say in the comment. Yes, I want to buy, you know, corporate like, and I might, well, what happens, this video, part of the reason is to see if anyone actually is interested in doing that, in purchasing urine. I know there's a lot of YouTube videos about urine therapy. Gandhi's done it. A lot of celebrities have done it. So this
AVR 3.5375 auto voice recorder. You have to clip it. That's how the when you press it down to record, you have to clip that. You'll see those two contacts. That will complete the circuit. When a noise is heard, the light goes on, and this turns on. You can't see it spin, but it's spinning. You'll see it move a little bit. You have to switch that switched on for AVR. Okay, this is at 3 volts. This is the signal that goes to the player. I mean to the cassette, where it goes to the magnetic tape. So you don't have, that's not doing anything. I was thinking the signal that's sent here could activate a microphone, or I could use the signal for something, but while I was playing around with this, I discovered this function. I forgot this function was in it, the AVR, so maybe another date than that. Alright, so this works from 30 feet, at least 30 feet. I could go further, but it'd be out of the room. Using these two things. So clapping is very dangerous. It's like harmful sound. Wear hearing protection. But even this, from this far away, activates that. And you've been seeing it activate as I've been talking. Okay. Oh, and the circuit, it's in the IC is LA4165, and then below that 1H2. I think that's a 1, right? Yeah, that's a 1. Okay. Oh, yeah. You can hear it activate. Hear that sound? Yeah, that's the motor running. Again, so 800 milliamps, 3 volts, two slowers on one side. Okay, 1, 2, and then the lead, and then going back to the power supply. So, and see how it lights up. Now, if I only used one of the slowers, that would be much brighter. And if I don't use any slowers, it would be even brighter. From my observance with the particular resistors, slowers I've got here, each one reduces by the brightness about half. And I'm not going to disconnect it all because it took me quite a while to put all this together. But imagine that lead going as half as, well, now I've got 2 leads here. So it's about, well, imagine about third brightness. I have to measure 3 times brighter than what it is now. If I take only one slower, it'll be, about 2. But you get the point. Okay, so what else do I want to tell you? You can use clips, these binders. You can even use solder lead. Solder doesn't work. But this is solderless. I wanted to do it in a way where it's use no solder. You can even use the potentiometer. This is from my R2 unit. I'm not just Star Wars, not war, but this is, you knock the R2 on the head. You connect this up to the lead, and you keep hitting it, and it will flash on and off, off and off. And it works by 2 metals together with in the middle there's a special material which made of a diamond. I forget what kind of material it is, but when it vibrates, when you hit it, it vibrates and it works like a battery, the electrolyte and battery. So yeah, there are different ways you can do this. This is a 1.5 volts battery. You can use this one. So anyway, and next I'm going to start playing with the variable slowers, which they call it, which are not badly named transistors. Transistors are named because of transforming resistor. Transistor, I call them varlers, variable slowers. So anyway, yes. You connect the motor here, it'll spin, and then as you reduce the voltage of this or the current, it would spin slower. So this is here. There's absolutely no need for the soldering. No smell, no burning. Remember, the leads go only one way. It's a diode, so they only go one way. Slowers, doesn't matter which way the polarity is. Capacitors, I think, depends on what kind of capacitor you use. But again, that's all you need to do. You can salvage any parts you want from anywhere. You get play around and do all this.
Okay, I've got it. A Yakka tracker slightly repurposed so that its lead output of red will activate the motor. I used a big fat transistor. The base is, I'm guessing it's this one. It's not in the middle, like on the smaller ones. So, that's the counter. Okay. So when I knock, it has two microphones. One is a speaker in the front, and actually the speaker is actually a microphone on the left, and there's one in the back. This is the front microphone. So as you can see, it's turning on. It's activating the bass with a voltage up on a variable output, 1.5, and the other one is 9 volt from the jacket tracker, which came with it. You can actually you can use one power supply, but I didn't want to reduce the current. And there's the sensory can be modified on the device itself. But for testing purposes, I'm realizing later I could only use one. But to do it faster, yeah. Okay, test it faster. Actually, you could. Oh, hold on. For preliminary, this is my first try on this, so at this time of the tent. Actually, might be third or fourth. Anyway, alright, here we go. Alright. See? Pretty awesome. These alligator clips, the thick ones, the regular ones are okay. But what happens is when on the components that you can find commonly on boards, the most challenging to replace the leads without solder is the capacitors. I'm sorry, the transistors. That's why I use the thick one, because to clamp it with a smooth one, it doesn't work that well unless there's the lead. Unless when you cut it off, the leads are long enough. And usually the leads are very small. So you would want to buy the ones I use to test the ICs, those little chips, the IC integrated circuits. Those chips, it looks like a lasso, and it circles around the lead. Okay, so it doesn't clip. It like circles around it.
I don't want to buy those. I haven't bought those. So anyway, okay. So what this does is whenever it gets noisy, it will activate the motor. Now you can also reverse it. Depending on how you do this, the motor can always be on, and then when it hears noise, it will stop the motor, and then it'll start again. I nearly electrocuted myself yesterday. I think I didn't. My smart mind kicked in and realized this is a taser, a little bubblegum taser, and I assume it's called a boost converter, a boost voltage booster. This is a 400 volt capacitor, super capacitor. Look at all you need: variable slower, badly named transistor capacitor, transformer, another slowers, they're called diode. Very simple circuit. I was going to use this to boost the voltage, but no, that might have electrocuted me. Because this is 400 volts, and I don't know what the voltage output actually is, how much boost. And that's interesting to boost the voltage output that much. Only using 1.5 volts or 3 volts. No, that's 1.5. So I need to ignore that. Because, yeah, you can't get more voltage unless you use, I guess, this time method or something like that. Now, I was able to get from the speaker output. When I hooked to the motor can be used as a speaker. So at the highest setting of volume control, you have to, highest one, you get music to come out. At the other settings, it will not even activate the motor at all. Now, looking at the what kind of IC amp, it's using a Texas Instruments LM324, 15820YR. Oh, and those microphones, those electric microphones, or maybe might be other types of microphones also. Never touch the lead whenever you're, especially those. Somehow the material on those, you want to use gloves, socks, wherever. But when you're salvaging these parts, you want to, unless it says ROHS, which means there's no lead on it. These all have lead from the solder, old solder. So when you clip it, be careful. That's why I don't like to desolder these things to get them off. Clip it off, so there's less of the lead. And then be careful when you're working around here. Use gloves. Because if not, the lead will get you absorbed in your skin, it gets in your bones, and then it's bad stuff. I think we have local and running will soon. And from the one so for that is also look at and the whole is the in the all the paper. It is has raised the email is no I can come check all of that. Only the contact that is just like as we report that you get mail and also use the email. It's going to be my responsibility. Yes, so about what's okay and one of these is so the people you chance the track this we I'll run back. We I'll be doing something. Really do this. These people can be under the better at least and that's awesome. Real is something. You can get in there and hold your but things so speed lines so there's something else there you can so start to clip and then it would be so that you use voltage and not expression. Let you know. That's fine. Now you just here's okay. And next light and out to outside. So it means like a track circle. So it's a circle. Okay. So if you're voltage line, voltage line working in the hill from the water yeah, okay. So you can on both the Bible put inside the outside. You have one users series. One be five users. One is here, one is here, one is here. The other one is hold the whole only from one folder and the one I think I might just be more to one body runs. I mean you know more at 800 minutes. Here's the thing. The last one is the okay. See about this so it's for that box. So we can I don't need to do this on my side. We want to mentally and back side. So that's I use one thing so out my and you don't use it. My other is the
The lead connected to the piezo. Forget about all the other connections. Okay, so when I hit it, see it's lighting up. See it lighting? Woo, yay! I've been unsuccessful in trying to get a microphone amplified enough without an IC to move a motor. The closest I've come is 9 volts to 12 activating the motor with a variable slower, badly named transistor, with a very powerful resistor, badly named resistor called, what I call it, the slower. This has got okay, no, I already said the volts. I believe that's at 500 milliamps, around 300 milliamps. Activating 12 volts activates the motor. At 9 volts, you have to tap it. So it's like a piezo effect. You can't tell, but it is moving slowly, the motor. Very slowly. Or it was. Lead will activate when I remove the lead to one of the speaker. I've been using the speaker to, there we go. Or it was on. There you go. So I used a different speaker, bigger one, but what happens is the connection, the less slowance it will activate. At a lower amperage, 1.5 would work. So if I connect it direct, hold on. LED is on. When I connect the speaker, LED goes off. LED goes off. And then the motor is on. You can't tell because this is digital video. Let's see it. That noise? See it on. Good.
One of the most important things you want to start out with when it comes to salvaging components is the connectors, because without connections, it doesn't matter what components you have. So, I used these paper clips, which are insulating, and then you can strip them with these tools, with pliers, different types of pliers, the sharp one, or even your nail clippers, and which is in here somewhere. You know what nail clippers look like. And I also bought these, the alligator clips, which are very smooth, the smooth ones at the end. Not the ones that you can get locally, but you might have to special order these. See? Very flat, so you can hold on to the resistor, which I call the slower, more accurate. Resistor is a bad name. They're called at the very end. And when you salvage components, it's a good idea to use the nail clipper. And you don't want to pry it off with one of these because it can strip off the wire, leave it right in there. Okay, so you have different types of resistors, and I've been playing around with slowers, and the one I had, it kept the current and the voltage wouldn't go through because it was such a high capacitance one. It took me a while. And I'm using different power supplies, variable power supply. You can vary it, the switches, even polarity, but you have different amperages and different voltages. And they're usually about 12 volts in the standard one. You can get 24, but those resistors are not working. So one of the hardest things, one of the challenging things I should say, is the slowers. Again, I'm going to call resistors slowers, because capacitors are easy to salvage. If you have these little tiny pins, you can replace the capacitors with these.
You strip them off. And with LEDs, the reason you want to start with a LED, actually you can start with use the LED most, but you want to play with this, the beginning components. This is a motor, you can get these anywhere. But the biggest, most special component you can get is the LED, because you can place LED. You can place the LED with this, any output. The most fascinating output we have is the motor. Cars, even angle grinding tools, spinning, like Underfloorman, and Club Wonders Magic, just evil against Christianity. So, and look at the way I use this power supply. Little tube, there's like two end, like holes. You usually put a thing in there. They come with
Demonstration of a transistor.
Yeah. Well,
Think of a transistor
like
like
special order these. That's
pipe.
No, these are the
More
male,
voltage you
this is the
apply,
male connector. It's called
opens up the
jack.
drawbridge
Called jack.
and lets the water in from the source,
Jack.
which is this lead, to the
Jacks,
drain.
Whatever it's called. But you can go female.
Variable voltage
using
supply. I'm going to increase the voltage. You'll see it.
And these are bendable. The reason why I don't use the paper clips anymore that much is because it gets really unwieldy. So you want to start with paper breadboard, and then you want to buy these and use the paper clips, and then you can use these pins. Yeah. So and then the paper clip you can even shove it.
So it's going from there to there.
Connect this to the alligator clip. You can shove it right in the back there.
Ignore that orange wire.
These
are paper clips.
Connect it and then put the jack onto it. So there are many ways you can do it.
I stripped
use
the
oil to connect. You can even use
nose pliers, clip, nail clip. So if I increase the voltage even more, you can see it represented more. You don't want to burn out the lead. Old school electronics. This is a capacitor. If you open up any capacitor, any modern day capacitor, it's gonna look like this. It's a whole roll, and then see the leads where they connect to. Same thing. Whole wrapping. See that plate, and then underneath there's no plate. There's a but it doesn't need a plate on the bottom. The plate is the wrapping. These are resistors. Badly named. There should be called slowers. This came from an Hitachi stereo, created around 1960s, 50s, 70s. Check this out. Check out this breadboard. Amazing. And then later on, that's where it came out of. So you had a tweeter and everything. Tweeter, control. It's velcroed. The front was velcroed. Tweeter, control. And then later on, I'm going to be tearing down this particle accelerator, which is the TV. These should be torn down because even though the picture is better, the radiation shoots out from the front. So actually, so I'm turning that out. Particle accelerator. This thing is a glass tube. It's continuous on this. Now, the first thing you want to do, you want to get, they say, get like this, and then clip it on, metal, and then the metal part, clip it on to something like the edge here. And you want to pop this thing off. This is to diffuse it, so there's no charge. When you pop it, use the thing, pop it like that out, put it under there, and pop it. See that? And then that's the clip, and it's empty. It's a hole there. Once you do that, it's diffused. And then this thing, what you want to do is there's two metal holders, like here, 1, 2 clips. See this thing? This thing, if you saw my other video how it looked, was on there. So all I did was I unscrewed those, one screw there, the clip, another screw here. You'll see it clamped on like that. And after you remove those two clips, you twist this whole thing twists, and it comes off automatically. Oh, and before that, this thing was on there too. See that white thing? That was on the very end of that. And that easily came off. You simply removed it off. Like that. So it's self-explanatory. So this is part 1. I don't know how I'm going to remove it. They said to break this off. I'm not going to break this off right now. Okay. You can do lead pencils as leads. They have slow-ins in them. Not really, I don't call them resistant slow-ins. So, you know, anything can be conducted in air if you have enough voltage and enough current. Okay, but the point is, okay, so what I cut off, so you can even use leads, those carbon in the pencils, as connecting, as leads, because they have slow-ins in it. Everything has slow-ins, air, anything, even enough voltage or current, you can conduct through it. So, I was trying to light this lead up, and the lead, you want to play with the slowers. Test out the slowers that you have. You can increase the voltage as you're seeing how much it cuts off. This one, the lead should turn on. Oh wait, I have to put it and switch this one on. Okay, see, it's on. Now if I use a different resistor, right now I've got 2 resistors in series, one way. Okay, and then it goes to the lead, and then out to the power supply. So imagine it's like a track, a circle. That's all a circle is. Big circle. Okay. So if you want a voltage divide, voltage is like the falling waterfall. You think of it like a hill. Current is like a watering. The water, you know, the going, the speed of it. So if you want to divide the voltage, divide the hill up, you put it on either side of the power supply leads. Here I have on one of the leads 2 resistors in series. 1, 2. If I put one of the resistors, one resistor here and then another resistor on the other side, so one resistor here, there's actually only, this is not grounded, this is to hold it. I stuck it in to hold one of the things in. Okay. If I put one slower here in series and then the other one on the other side, that would divide the voltage up. So right now it's using 3 volts. It would divide it 1.5, 1.5 by each. But what I'm doing is I'm not dividing the 3 volts. This is right now it's using 3 volts at 800 milliamps. The other, you don't need that many volts anyway to light up a lead. The other power supply is 1.5 and it's at 300 milliamps. Just trying to reduce it, but anyway, okay. If I let me try to think. Okay, so it's right now it's got 2 of these resistor slowers. So it's slowing it down at 3 volts. Okay, this part
was connected via this thing. All the way it connects in there. I'm going to be documenting these parts. Check out the size of that modern day. That's the largest modern day resistor I've ever seen, which I call a slower. This was in the midpoint of the Harlock accelerator tube. This seems like a midpoint. A controller of a sort. And this thing goes right on the end of it. See that white part? It says heater checkpoint. See where that eye is? You focus on that. See, heater checkpoint. This is created. That part's created in Japan. I think the whole thing is assembled in Mexico. Sony. And look at that heat sink. Remember, this is particle accelerator. It gets really hot. If you're gonna have a slower like that big, that heat sink, and there's a chip. Will this focus? There. Check out that chip over there. So I'm gonna disconnect all of these parts, these cables running towards it. Okay. Run all the way into there. Okay. Okay, something interesting. This thing, see where this says this black cable here, where it says CL1760 is what it says there. That was wrapped around like a wire, like, you know how you wrap like a tie wrap, a wire wrap? It was wrapped around, so there's actually no wire in there. When you look inside, it looks hollow. It was wrapped around this thing, this cable, right at the end. Use pliers to ply it out. There. That black cable, empty plastic, was wrapped around this. Right here. Wrapped around it like you're tie wrapping something. Okay? It wasn't connected to anything. Tie wrapping it like this. Like I'm holding it. And the end, there's nothing there. CL, where are you? CR. It has a little solder point. Gray little dot. Silver dot. I don't know if that was some kind of... I don't think the guy was lazy. Either it maybe performed some kind of inductance, if I'm using that word right. I don't know why. And this, see that wire? See that little wire here jiggling? This was what was connected to. You have to use like a really pointy thing, metal thing, ply it out of that one socket. I use this. I think that's some kind of ground. And I'm gonna leave these two tubes on because they're connected to that thing in there. But that was really, that's kind of interesting why it was like that. Okay, and it says G2 screen. This white tube. See the connecting point there? Those two little wires like fangs. I need to get this to focus better. That says a G2 screen. Okay. Baby, this is the power supply. It slid right out after you disconnect this thing and this thing in there. You gotta reach in. You reach in the pliers and you pop it out. And then this thing, which here's it. This goes to the speakers in there. Okay, and that thing was clipped around that. Remember that black thing? I didn't know it was like a tie wrap. Here it is. It's wrapped around like this. Like you're tying something. That's all it is. Even though it's soldered in. You see it's soldered. Yeah, a little black. So that they do it so that it holds it. This thing is really powerful. Look at the size of that heat sink and that power supply.
I mean the transformer. That's a 250 volt capacitors, 2 of them. Everything on here is huge. The look at the size of that brown thing, that capacitor. That's huge. Inductors, silver ones. Thailand, one of those black boxes in Thailand. Maybe a couple. I don't know what the wafers are. Those big white wafers. This is the power cable. Okay, it goes where you go to the wall outlet. Careful touching this thing because there can still be power in this capacitor. And look at the size of those transistors. And this is hot and cold on the top. Sorry, hot and cold. And then the thing that I disconnected, it's like a channel. I think it's for each of the channels. It says like, where is it? There it is. And it says different voltage. It says 9 volts relay, DGC, standby, auxiliary, 9 volt EB plus. Everything on here is huge. I mean, it's gotta be because it's, you know. And that little white thing, I don't know what that one is. It says it's like CR something. It doesn't tell you. It's not very so descriptive that you would know automatically. Okay. Yeah. That's awesome. Okay. Get a better picture of that transformer because it's so beautiful. This thing is beautiful. Look at that. This is amazing. That is amazing. That's a work of art. This is power supply on the. Look at that. That is amazing. And big. Okay. Yeah. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Looks like a city. That's an entire city right there. That's beautiful. Okay. So beautiful. Put in a display box. It has a fuse. It says risk of fire, replace fuse is marked. Yeah. Risk of fire, replace fuse is marked. Okay.